Apart from Pastor Wesley, several pastors have publicly called out Charlie Kirk for the racist, hateful rhetoric he promoted. In an America where so many voices have been silenced or compromised, there are very few pastors left willing to name the harm of white nationalism and name it plainly. Let's watch what they said.
I didn't know that much about Charlie Kirk before, and so I did begin to get into what he taught. And I just have to tell you that everything I read opposed my understanding of Jesus' teaching. And I want to say that, my understanding of Jesus' teaching. I'm not saying we can't have a discussion about that. I would encourage that. But the way I'm understanding what Jesus taught and what Charlie Kirk was teaching seemed to be in juxtaposition. Here's just some examples. He said this: black women do not have the processing power to be taken seriously. You have to steal a white person's slot. He said, I can't stand the word empathy. I think empathy is a made-up New Age term and does a lot of damage. He said, we made a huge mistake when we passed the Civil Rights Act of the 1960s. Martin Luther King was awful. He's not a good person. He said, if I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified. He said, LGBTQ is a social contagion. I am 180 degrees opposed to every one of those statements. And I think Jesus would be too, but I'm not equating my consciousness by any means with that of Jesus. But just my understanding of Jesus' teaching, where the kingdom and the reign of God is about including everyone, not judging everyone, reaching out to the most vulnerable, not judging them, not putting them down, right? Not diminishing the image of God by treating other human beings as objects. I'm sorry. And you see, this is not confined nor originating with Charlie Kirk. And God bless his family and friends and all those who are mourning him. But his words, in some ways, may end up being elevated more because of the recent event. And even his followers are saying that.
What is also tragic is they're trying to make him a martyr of the faith. Now, he did violently die, but he did not die for the faith. Not the faith I know, and not for the Jesus I know. But let's be clear. He wasn't a martyr for the faith. People can say that all they want. And he could call himself a Christian if he wants. But you can tell a tree by the fruit it bears and not by the title it wears. Listen, I'm still looking for evidence that he was a follower of the sable skin sandals wearing carpenter from Galilee. I don't see no evidence. What I see is what he said he was. And that was, he was a white Christian nationalist. And I put it in quotation marks because I don't know how you could be a white nationalist and a Christian at the same time, just like I don't know how you could be a Klansman and a Christian at the same time. Because a white nationalist is someone who has a vision of America that it is to be a white ethno state, which does not include you or other marginalized people who are brown, who are gay. Y'all not saying nothing here. Who are women. In fact, he said some stuff that lets you know that he can't be following the Jesus we know. Talking about be careful about these marauding. He said in a lot of his rhetoric, marauding black youth who are out to hurt white people. And now HBCUs have had to suspend classes because he got shot. And I want to know, wait a minute now, what? We ain't had nothing to do with that. Why you attacking HBCUs? He had the nerve to call the names of several prominent black women who are brilliant beyond debate. 8 degrees between all of them, Ivy League graduates. And he had the nerve to say about them that they don't have the mental capacity to process information in a way that you would take them seriously, and he dropped out of a community college. You can't go around twisting statistical data so that you could promote tropes, racist tropes about the inherent inferiority and criminality of black people and say that you follow Jesus.
Kirk is not a martyr for Christ, despite the claims on social media this week from the right. While we condemn his murder and the gun violence that led to it, we must also reject MAGA's efforts to portray him as something he was not. Kirk preached hatred and division as a white Christian nationalist, which contradicts Jesus' teachings. He preached anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, racism, misogyny, and homophobia. Jesus said that the greatest commandment was to love. Kirk preached that empathy was weakness and that gun deaths are the cost of freedom. His death is tragic, and I'm thankful that the shooter has been apprehended. But the media should stop portraying him as a man of peace just following Jesus, when he was anything but. And yes, it dishonors the United States to award a white Christian nationalist the Presidential Medal of Freedom.
I'm overwhelmed with folk who call themselves Christian because they invoke the name of Jesus and quote Bible from the Old Testament, but never live like Jesus, never love like Jesus, never talk like Jesus, never put their arms around folk like Jesus, never have any fruit of the Spirit, never try to live out the Sermon on the Mount. I am overwhelmed. But I'm overwhelmed to see the nation's flag fly at half-staff for a man who was a proud racist and spent his entire life sowing seeds of division and hatred into this land.
Ladies and gentlemen, Reverend Dr. Howard John Wesley of Alfred Street Baptist Church.
And then these hypocrites with selective rage who are mad about Charlie Kirk but didn't say anything about Melissa Hortman and her husband when they were gunned down in their living room. Tell me that I ought to have compassion for the death of a man who never showed compassion or respect for my life. Y'all, there's nowhere in Bible we are told to honor evil. And I know I'm gonna get in trouble for this, but how you died does not redeem how you lived. Your death does not make you a hero. It does not make you one who should be honored. It does not make you one who should be respected. I can be sorry about your death, but not celebrate your life. You did not live. And I'm overwhelmed.
Those pastors spoke truth to power. And now I'm worried for them, because the same officials who moved quickly to punish critics of Kirk are the same people with real power to intimidate and destroy livelihoods. People in the Trump administration, voices like J.D. Vance, Stephen Miller, and Attorney General Pam Bondi have publicly promised crackdowns and said they will pursue hate speech cases in the wake of Kirk's killing. They've already targeted people online, pushed for firings, and pressured platforms. They even helped get a high-profile TV host taken off the air. If they can do that to celebrities and journalists, who's safe? So I have a question. Will they go after pastors next? Pastors who preach the gospel and call out racism? Will a sermon that names sin become evidence in a government witch hunt? I am praying for protection for these leaders. And I'm calling on the church to stand with them, not to cheer when power silences dissent, but to defend the basic freedom to preach the truth. Because this isn't just about one man's death. It's about whether our institutions will protect truth tellers, or whether power will punish them in the name of politics. We must not let fear be the price of speaking the gospel. If you believe pastors should be free to speak the truth, like, share, and subscribe, and drop a comment if you're seeing pressure in your community.